Penelope Gordon, and I'm with OnePlug Corporation. My collaborator is from Robust Cloud. We've also been doing work with Dave out at the Silicon Valley Cloud Center as well. And I'm just going to give you a little brief case study on selecting a cloud strategy. And so just the context for this case study, owner of a large, not owner, the CIO of a large custom services company, and he was the looking to be the owner of the strategy and the roadmap that was being developed. The vision for this company was to transition over time from being a custom services company into being what I call a cloud OEM. So designing, selling, and delivering cloud product, cloud services. In this case, business kinds of services, so SaaS and BPaaS. From a tactical standpoint, this is being driven by an annual budgeting process. And so he really wanted to make sure that he had a funded project. And to maximize the probability, I was steering him into, got to focus on one option to pursue in the short term, build that business case, but then show how that fits in your larger roadmap to achieving the vision. So these are the strategy options that I put together for him. This is more or less what you're going to see in general. I mean, this has got some particular quirks, and there are other options depending on what your starting point is and what your particular vision is. But basically what you have is you say, I'm going to be looking at cloud adoption for internal operations. And so you can see there in the lower left just a little bit about that. And then I can also look at, and these aren't mutually exclusive, so I can pursue multiple options. It's just that realistically you're not going to get all of this at once. You've got to have that credibility with your executive leadership before you can do that. So you can also look at the options for revenue generation. And that could be, in the case of a custom services company, that can also impact if you're providing services back into your company, but that's part of the revenue generation side of it. That's just different than saying, I'm doing something that's custom for internal operations. So you can see here 6 options is what we reduced it to, kind of a range from what's simple down to what's the complex, which is their actual end game vision there. So scoring notes, because this is about how do you select down that strategy. So what we've done is relative scoring system, where just for simplicity's sake, said all the factors are equally weighted. So this isn't about, let me try to go get quantitative analysis of each of these strategy options, but it's comparing these options in the context of this particular case study. And to just rate on different factors, each of the strategy options on a scale of 1 to 10. And then the factors that we're using, that we're rating, is benefit. So that's benefit back to the company. And I've provided an example there. So it could be getting transformation going in other parts of the business, as well as direct. So generating revenue is a pretty direct benefit. To what extent does this contribute into the company's competitive advantage? So that's differentiation. What's the probability of success? And so this one's a key one because it's taking into account what's the starting point for this company and how much are they going to have to overcome to achieve that vision and to achieve each of these strategy options relative to each other. And a lot of that has to do with what's the time to make the investment and what's the size of the investment relative for these options. Time to break even, so at what point does this execution of a particular strategy become self-sustaining? And then IT control, because remember I said in this case that the owner of the strategy was the CIO. So obviously if you start getting into more of the business process side, there's less IT control. So that's part of what we rated. So here's a comparison for the different strategy options. And just for simplicity, we as I said, we equally weighted. And then we produced an average from that. So this is just giving you an idea to say 6 strategy options on each of these factors. And then that distills down to a summary where you say, gee, for this particular company where they're at, option E, which would be to rate card their supply chain. So that would be to say, use building blocks that look like products, that are standard pieces in providing these custom services. So that's, for them, where they're at right now, with their starting point. That's the strategy option that was most attractive. And then the second most attractive is to implement private cloud solutions for their revenue generating side of the house. So to deliver their custom services solutions based off of a private cloud solution. And this is all part of what OnePlug Corporation and Robust Cloud are offering, the cloud strategy workshops. So to help companies really sort through how do we adopt cloud for revenue generation. And so how do we look at different options? How do we build a rate card? And then as part of that, if you get down to the point of want to do a private cloud, it's like, okay, go over to the Silicon Valley Cloud Center and do proof of concept. So that was my lightning talk.
Great. Thank you very much, Penelope.
Thank you.